Madam Chair, first of all, thank you for your personal expressions of concerns soon after the storm. I appreciate it to the people of my state. And thank you for your leadership, as well as Senator Inhofe and other distinguished members of the committee, for giving us a forum to explain just how devastating Superstorm Sandy was to our region and to highlight the help that we need to rebuild. New Jersey was at the epicenter of the storm's entry, and the powerful storm surge overwhelmed our state, and the result is damage on a massive scale. And as someone who has lived in New Jersey his entire life, I have never seen the devastation that Sandy brought us. The numbers are pretty staggering across the region. In New Jersey, we lost 39 people's lives to the storm. Based on preliminary, and I emphasize that, preliminary FEMA estimates, there are over 231,000 applications for homes and businesses in New Jersey that were damaged, but we certainly expect that the numbers will surge much higher. Over half of the state, 2.7 million households lost power, many for extended periods of time, some still today. The storm was the largest mass transit disaster in our nation's history. 4 out of 10 of the nation's transit riders had their commutes disrupted by the storm, many still today. New Jersey Transit alone had dozens of locomotives and rail cars damaged in the flooding and miles of tracks damaged. The preliminary damage estimate provided by the state is now up to $36.9 billion in damage, and everyone expects that number to rise. Those are the numbers, and in one way they may be a way to quantify the damage, but they fail to paint a picture of what we have seen throughout the state. The level of destruction, the faces of the many thousands of displaced people who find themselves homeless and with basically nothing left from their homes, their possessions, their lifetime keepsakes gone, entire neighborhoods whose several generations of families live in close-knit communities gone, thousands of decades-old small businesses ruined, their owners unsure they will have the ability or the means to rebuild. And we're getting more damage numbers, but the human toll is truly incalculable. The sheer scope of the damage is also difficult to fathom. And I have seen it from the air, from the water, on foot, and the breadth and scope of it. We've hosted the President and the Vice President and a whole host of cabinet officials. We appreciate the administration's many visits to get a sense of it. But my staff has compiled some pictures here that I'd like to show you to give you a sense. This is the Manahawkin Bridge, which crosses Barnegat Bay and crosses Brick with Manahawkin. As you can see in the picture, the storm surge ripped a gash right through Manahawkin. Amazingly, this bridge can be repaired, but it's obvious in this picture many of the surrounding homes were lost, and part of the highway will need to be rebuilt. On a boat tour of the area, I saw damage for myself and took this picture of a house floating down the river. It's only one of many. This is a shipping container and a large pleasure boat tossed onto the Morgan Rail Bridge on the North Jersey coastline, along with tons of debris, a major rail intersection that moves so many New Jerseyans across the state. It took a lot of work to restore service on New Jersey Transit, which suffered disruptions on every rail line. This is only by way of example one. Even today, the Port Authority's PAF terminal at Hoboken is inoperable and will not be back online for some time. And this is a live video of what took place on that evening with Port Authority cameras, giving you a sense of the flooding that took place in the terminal, and just gives you a sense of how deep the flooding took place. This is as you go right into the tracks, the level of flooding that was taking place. And those are the PAF terminals where you'd obviously be boarding a PAF train into New York City or along the coast. Tens of thousands today still cannot use that terminal. In addition to transportation damage, many small businesses in New Jersey are facing the possibility of going out of business. Some were hit with thousands of dollars in lost business, while others saw their entire inventory destroyed. Interestingly enough, I had a visit from the head of the federally qualified health centers in our state. There are 20. They suffered as well because they had a whole period of time in which they were closed, and so the revenue stream for them during this whole period of time has affected them. Many of them, of course, were damaged as well. And so while the SBA has low-interest loan programs, which I have to be honest with you are pretty close to commercial rates today, that's not going to help the hardest-hit businesses. These entrepreneurs that fuel our economy have been hit with a 1-2 punch. First, they had the Great Recession, and now, just as we're beginning to recover, and they were seeing the light of the tunnel, that tunnel gets flooded on them with a debilitating storm. So whether it's through flexibility in the Community Development Block Grant Program, which you have a history of with Hurricane Katrina, or a new disaster recovery block grant, or through more flexible SBA or other programs, we should provide grants to get small businesses back on their feet. This will not only help the small business owners themselves, it'll keep the workers on the job, bring back tax revenue for local governments to repair and rebuild and restore a sense of normalcy for our communities. We already were at over 9% unemployment before the storm. And if history teaches us anything from Hurricane Katrina, is that unemployment dramatically rose subsequently. That is a big challenge. To economically rebuild New Jersey, we also need to rebuild the Jersey Shore. And that is that's a $38 billion tourism economy in our state. And the Jersey Shore isn't just about summer homes. That sometimes is, you know, a huge misconception. It has been transformed into year-round communities. The next two slides show the importance of some of what Senator Schumer was talking about, Army Corps on our shoreline. Stockton College did a study of the Army Corps' beach engineering programs before and after the storm, and what it found was unambiguous. Where the Army Corps was able to complete beach-engineered projects, the dunes held. And the damage to communities behind the project was either negligible or manageable. So here's a before and after photo at Surf City, which received beach engineering in 2007 as part of the U.S. Army Corps Long Beach Island Shore Restoration Project. You can see that despite the damage to the dune held, it saved lives, it saved property, it saved money. It made sense. Alternatively, here is a photo of another part of Long Beach Island in the Loveladies neighborhood that unfortunately did not have similar protections. And it may not appear to be obvious damage, but when the surge came, washed away the undeveloped dune, and flooded the homes you see along the beach, it pushed extraordinary amounts of sands into the neighborhood, covering the street and the entire area. And I'd like to submit a copy of Stockton College's study for the record. We desperately need, Madam Chair, to provide the Army Corps the funding it needs to do not beach replenishment. This is about engineered beaches that save lives, save monies, and stop us from repetitive loss. Our existing defenses, it's almost as if you're personally ill and your immune system is low. Right now, the urgency of now is critical, because if we get a northeaster, based upon what we have suffered after Hurricane or Superstorm Sandy, then the effects would be devastating to us. Our existing defenses from the storms have been greatly weakened, and if a powerful nor'easter hits New Jersey again, we could again see damage on an unbelievable scale. And I just want to talk briefly as part of one of the great industries of our state, that fishing industry that's along the New Jersey shore. The reports we've gotten about the damage to commercial fishing industries have been devastating. There are long stretches of the shore where every marina, dock, and slip has been destroyed. And the boats moored to the infrastructure was launched onshore. Here at Wagner's Marina in Keyport, just one example of how the boats were tossed into surrounding buildings. They lost over 5,000 feet of dock space, including electrical systems, catwalks, and gas lines. So the need we have is enormous, and we need the federal government as a partner to help us rebuild. And we need help not just rebuilding to the status quo, but to make sure that we're stronger for the next storm so that we don't have this type of devastation again. I want to close with just in the midst of all of this incredible darkness, the resiliency and the light that sometimes comes in the midst of such adversity. There are so many stories. The story of the young woman in Hoboken who lived in a basement apartment who totally was flooded, lost everything. And instead of going ahead and thinking about what is my tomorrow all about, she spent the better part of a week at a shelter helping everybody else, even though she had nothing to go back to. Or there's Pam Bond and Jeff Spinardi, who own a candle shop called Greetings from Hoboken. They lost power along with everybody else on Washington Street for over a week. They were closed. The day they got power back, they opened the store, they made $27, despite the fact that this is the busiest time of the year for them. And despite their own struggles with the store, they wanted to help others when they heard that the Hoboken homeless shelter was out of power and needed candles and found out the shelter had only one candle to which to light their whole process. Pam and Jeff donated hundreds of dollars worth of candles to help them out. And now they're raising more funds for the shelter. This is the type of state that our people are ultimately about. So I'm asking each of our colleagues in the Congress to stand with us and help New Jerseyans recover and rebuild in our time of need, just as I personally, since I have been here, have stood with the people of the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina, or the people of Joplin, Missouri, or on crop destruction after a tornado ravaged a community, because it's who we are, it's what we do as a country, and it's what truly gives the meaning to the United States of America.